Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Williamson at Williamson NFL. Give me a follow there. Check out my YouTube page, same title. And it is a slow time in the NFL. Draft is in the books. We can't just keep analyzing 5th and 6th round picks over and over. Maybe I will break down some other teams' drafts, particularly the division, but we've done some of that as well. Mini camps are around the corner, though. We're a little over a week away from schedule release. So I'm definitely going to have a mailbag or two between now and the schedule release date as well. And if there's any big topics you want me to hit and do a whole podcast on, hit me up. I'm easy to find. You guys' comments are great, too, on YouTube as well. But I want to talk about something that I hope is a Steeler goal for this upcoming year. I have one on defense and one on offense. I'm going to talk about offense today. And I've brought it up before, but it's been a while, and the cast of characters has changed since we brought this up. And you guys know I like my stats, but this isn't exactly a nerdy stat. Yards per carry on offense. Where do you think the Steelers landed in yards per carry? We know they're going to be a heavy volume rushing attack. They were a heavy volume rushing attack last year. And there is value to voluminous rushing. You can wear teams down. There's a physicality aspect of it. But the Steelers averaged only 4 yards a carry. Now, that is tied for 25th with the Bears, Chargers, Dolphins, Rams, and Dallas. But I look at it like this. It's only better than Las Vegas, who drafted some offensive linemen, brought in a new head coach, and drafted Austin Gentry. And the Chiefs, that are at 3-9. Chiefs are at 3-9. The Raiders were at 3-6. Steelers are at 4-0 with a handful of other teams. Now, the Chiefs are weird. They went to the Super Bowl. They didn't have any explosive passing, and they averaged a very low yards per carry. But they're the Chiefs, and they put it together when it matters, and they have Mahomes, and they have Kelsey and Reed, and the Steelers don't have Mahomes. So I'm not comparing the Steelers to the Chiefs. I'm comparing them to the rest of the league. I don't expect them to be near the top of the league. Now, who is at the top of the league? Guess who? The Ravens at 5.8 yards per carry. 1.8 yards every time they rushed the football, better than the Steelers. The other ones at the top, Arizona, Tampa, a perennial playoff team, the Eagles, they're at 5. These are all the teams at 5 or above. They won the Super Bowl, if you don't recall. Saquon Barkley, great O-line, Hurts. The Lions, one of the best teams in the league, are at 4-8, as is the Commanders. San Francisco is always near the top of the league. They're at 4-7. Green Bay and Indy round out the top teams. Now, I don't need the Steelers to get to 4-8 or 5-0, but you can't be at 4-0. Not as often as they run the football. Can we get to 4-3? 4-4? I mean, there's a big difference between 4-2 and 4-4. I think you got to get to 4-2. 4-2 is the middle of the league. 4-2 is the 17th through 20th best. 4-1 is 21st to 24th. 4-3 and up means you're in the top half of the league. I think that's what you got to shoot for. Again, set a goal. Finish the regular season, let's say at 4-3 or above. That would put you at 16th or better. And if you run the ball as often as we expect the Steelers to, that's a big spike in yardage. I mean, there's just no way around that. On the other side, we'll talk about, is that possible? BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. With the largest selection on odds on everything from the NBA to NHL playoffs to MLB to UFC and boxing, BetOnline has you covered for all your online wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino and all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Bet online, the game starts here. So I have some bullet points to discuss of, can we get to 4-3 or better? And I just kind of pulled that number out of the air, but 0.3 yards better than last year. It's a nice start. It gets you to at least league average, which I think if you're going to be a run-first team, you should at least be average at it. Now, I'm going to operate under the assumption that Aaron Rodgers is a starting quarterback. But if he isn't, I think it's going to be Kirk Cousins or long shot Derek Carr. Well, you're not going to get any quarterback runs out of that trio. That's for sure. And Wilson wasn't a great runner, but he's a better runner than those guys. Fields is a great runner. They didn't treat him like a great runner. So that hurts your cause. Obviously Lamar, Hurts, Daniels had something to do with their teams being at the very top of the league in yards per carry. That's going to hurt them. They're going to be worse there. Even if it's Rudolph for all year. They're going to be worse in terms of quarterback helping this cause. Okay. No doubt about that. Check. That's a problem. We've talked about volume to no end. But you would think that over the course of a game, later in games, the 4-yard runs turn into 5-yard runs. Do we know that's going to happen? I don't. But I do know they will have volume for better or worse running the football. What about explosive runs? I don't know on that either. Najee is not an explosive runner, but he did have his share of 10-yard gains. He doesn't have any 80-yarders, and that absolutely hurts this team. Saquon ripping off a couple 80-yarders, 50-yarders, whatever, or Lamar or Henry or whoever, it really adds up. It really helps your average even over the course of a year when there's so many rushing attempts. Now, the Steelers are not going to have anybody ripping off 40, 50, 60-yard runs. No doubt about that. But Lev Bell didn't either back in his day, and the Steelers averaged a lot more yards per carry back then. Maybe this is optimistic, but I think Johnson, in this zone scheme, with his vision, which is way better than Najee's, should offer more explosive run potential than Najee. Gainwell might get you an explosive one over the course of the year, maybe as 2 15-plus yard runs. But big-time explosive running, long runs are not going to be the Steelers' friend for this goal, to get the 4-3. But chunk runs could be, the 10 to 20-yard range. And Johnson broke off a lot of long runs, but I don't know that he's going to break home run hitter runs. Okay. But without question, the 2025 Steeler offense will face lighter boxes than the 2024 version. Not a doubt in my mind. Unless Pickens gets traded or something weird changes. But when you trot out Pickens and Metcalf for most snaps, even with 2 tight ends or heavy personnel other than that, it's going to be more difficult for opponents to stack the box. There's just no doubt in my mind about that. Even in Seattle, they didn't have a very good running game, but they faced a lot of lighter boxes. That's Metcalf. Pickens always demands a safety over the top, even without a threat on the other side. So that's a huge reason Metcalf was their choice at receiver too. Now, I don't know that they're looking at the same way I am. Like, the whole goal is just to get the 4-3, but I'm sure they want to get a better running game. So that definitely helps. Lighter box. Boom. Check that one. Mentioned the zone blocking system. I think there's something to be said, especially when you go zone heavy, of being a second year in the system. If you talk to any O lineman, I've had this conversation with Wolf many times, Tunch, other people that I really trust in the O-line community. the zone system from an O-line blocking perspective, and I'm going to throw the tight ends in there too, really needs reps, really needs time. I mean, it's synchronized swimming for 320-pound giants. It takes a lot of reps to get the timing. Is he my guy? Is he your guy? It's not a man blocking scheme. It's a zone blocking scheme. Second year in the system, also with a back that fits it better, I think is important here, and is certainly a check in the positive. There's a lot of discrepancy about what was allowed for the quarterback at the line of scrimmage last year. Now, from what I understand, and I don't take this as gospel, but I think Arthur Smith's system, and this is one of the benefits of it, people looked at it the wrong way, and it can be a little wordy and it can be a little clunky, but I think he puts multiple plays, which isn't uncommon, but I think he does it more than most play callers. Like when he gets in the headset, I think he gives the quarterback like 3 plays, not 1 or 2. And that's why Wilson wasn't allowed to audible, because the audibles are built in. Now, I'm sure it was different for Fields and Wilson. But one thing I have no doubt in my mind about is Rodgers is going to do what he wants to do. If he comes to the line of scrimmage and sees a stacked box, he's not going to run it into the teeth of the defense. I mean, I don't think he even will care what the coaches say. You know what I mean? Like, I know this is wrong. I'm changing it. I've been doing this 1,000 years, like Ben at the end, or Peyton Manning, or any of those guys at the end. Do you think Brady's going to be, worried that Bill's going to yell at him? Who cares? I'm an all-time great. Not that Wilson's not established, but Rodgers is a different level and is going to do what he wants. So I'm betting the quarterback checks out of more bad play calls. And no matter how good a play caller you are, there's going to be bad ones. You don't know what the defense is going to do. Now, here's the last thing I have to talk about here is, will the O-line be better? I don't know. You would hope so. It's young. I would hope Jones is better next year. I would hope McCormick and Frazier at least don't go backwards and are at least what they were last year, if not better. Ciamalu worries me. I don't think he's going to get better, but it is his second year in the system, as it is for all these dudes. Broderick Jones is clearly the wild card here, but he's a pretty talented run blocker. I do trust his run blocking more than I do his protection. I think going to the left side exclusively is a good thing for him. I would hope that he realizes this is a huge put up or shut up year for his career, and this is a big money making, earning year for him. But the depth worries me. I've done some podcasts with you guys saying I don't love the O-line depth. I like where it's been in previous years more than now. Now, maybe one of the Andersons or somebody is better than I think, but I think there's a lot of replacement level guys as the backups, which around this league isn't uncommon. There's definitely a O-line shortage in the league, and the Steelers have some of that, not as bad as other teams. But hopefully that's not tested. All this could be great in practice, and then when the season ends, they average 4.0 yards per carry again, and they have 7 different O-line combinations, and 9 different O-linemen had to play significant snaps, and they just didn't have good enough blockers. That's possible. But I also might say, man, Broderick Jones got better, and Fautanu is a star, and Frazier is a star. I have great hopes for Fautanu, especially as a run blocker right off the bat, and as a movement guy in this zone scheme. So I don't know about that. Will the O-line be better? I'm not going to predict that. I don't know. And I'm not saying that's the only thing that could hold them back from a 4-3 goal or could get them there, but it obviously has a lot to do with it. But there's a lot of components here, clearly. But I think in the end, if you told me, Magic 8 Ball, week 18 ends, the Steelers averaged 4.3 yards per carry, I'll almost guarantee you that they're a playoff team or have 10 wins or very much in the hunt. And I certainly will tell you their offense was a heck of a lot better than it was last year. So to me, that should be a goal. Yards per carry has to go up by 2 notches, not just get the 4-1. You know what I'm saying? All right, everyone, take care.